Okay, we are up to Mishlei 24-27, and just some quick bookkeeping. There are really fewer psukim than I thought because left in the parak. Because after this we have psukim 28 and 29, which are a unit, so that's one, and then we have lamed through lamed daled, which is another unit. So the fact is we have one more scheduled week of Mishlei, but if we can find some other time to do the final four psukim or five psukim before the start of the summer, I would really like that because
are you going next year?
Yeah, I am, and then that week I'm going to be on a road trip, so like it's going to be to like
at the end.
At that, yeah, we can do that. Yeah, I mean, I want, as long as we can record it. yeah. So that's the goal here. Okay, not the goal is recording. I'm saying the goal is to finish the thing. Okay, here we go. Mishlei 24-27. Hachin bachutz malachtecha v'atdah basadelach achar uvanisa v'secha.
Prepare outside your work.
Prepare outside your work.
And
the atdah ציון says is inyan hazmana, is another word for like readying or preparing. Yeah, say again.
Yeah, be prepared.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure.
Yeah, I feel like atdah is also a
It'll blank it.
You should prepare it or ready it, and ready it basadelach in the field for yourself. Achar after uvanisa v'secha. Yeah, build. I'm gonna say afterwards because that's what we say in English. Afterwards, build your house. Okay. Yeah, so that's מצודת ציון. Targum says askin lebara avidatach, so that is prepare outside your work. V'atdah lach, and prepare for yourself the chakla in the field, or prepare for yourself in the field, ready for something. Vasakin b'nei vesach, and then afterwards build your house. I think that's just I don't see any nuances there.
You wrote read.
No. Oh, thank you. Ready it in the field. All right, then we got art scroll. Prepare your work outside and provide for yourself in the field. Okay, so that's different than the מצודת ציון. Then build your house. Looking now says prepare your outside work. Okay, that's weird how to say your outside work. Okay, whatever. Ready, and then your needs in the field. Hey, how's it going? Shlomo made me forget that you were coming. Okay. And this will be for Chaim when he's ready. Then build your home. Okay, fine. I'm going to delete that one. Alter says prepare your task outside and ready it for yourself in the field. Afterward, you will build your house. See, banisa. I mean, banisa sounds like a command, right? No, you think it's because of banisa? You're right. Yeah. All right. So we'll keep both of these up here. Okay, so what are the questions? This is very, it's funny, Alter, I didn't copy down his commentary here, but it's like another straightforward, simple piece of advice. That's what he says. Yeah.
What is your work?
Yeah, what is your
and what work? Is the thing you're malacha?
This is where we have another, what is your malacha?
And whatever the it is that you're doing.
Hold on just 1 second here. More difficulties outside. And what, I didn't hear anything else you said.
Whatever the implicit, was the
What is the
Yeah, whatever I think Levinach said like your needs.
Oh wait, are you saying
the mapike?
Oh
yeah, yeah, whatever that's
okay. Okay, yeah. All right. Yeah. So what is what are you doing in the field? Right. Yeah.
What is added by the field that's not covered by outside?
Yeah. I'm gonna just go ahead and tack that on here. How do we differentiate between the first two clauses? Right. Would seem to be like, I feel like if we just deleted this line, then like we would probably be able to get the same idea. I mean, just from intuition. Yeah.
And outside of what?
Yeah.
Especially if the house isn't built yet.
Outside of what? Yeah. Especially if the house isn't built yet. Yeah, Yaakov?
Where is this guy living right now?
Yeah. Right. Okay, so I'm going to add as a separate question. Like, what is this guy's situation right now? Right? Where is he living? Yeah. Okay. I mean, the basic question is why, right? Why this order, right? That seems, the order seems to be important because of the achar, right? Like what's the havamina? What is the hava amina? Let's amina.
Who's the audience?
Yeah. Who is the audience? Yeah. Practical seems to be gonna come out from everything we say. Yeah.
Yeah, why are you building the house afterwards?
Yeah. That is, yeah. Why this order? Why doesn't the house come before or do it during? Right? Yeah.
I mean, so
I think it's so funny.
What was that?
It's outside of what?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
do we? I mean, it does seem a little obvious. I mean, like if we're talking about just
Yeah.
building
That's
a house,
why
like-
I'm saying what's the havamina.
oh, I see.
Yeah. Well, it's actually not obvious. I would think that you need someplace to live. And I mean, if this guy has, I mean, especially if this is his fields,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I guess one question is whose field is it? But like, who do you know? How many farmers do you know who don't have a house and just have fields? You know,
No, I mean,
and like even people who work in other people's fields have a home. So like the question is going to be then, I guess, what is building a home, right? What is building? Yeah. What is included in building a home? Yeah.
so then the question is like, what's the scenario? Because I was
Yeah.
thinking of a different
Yeah,
scenario.
we got that situation. I used the word situation instead of scenario. Yeah.
Not sure if this fits onto 3, but what is the home providing?
Yeah. Okay. So what does the home provide? Yeah.
Building off of 5, how do we know that the order of the pasuk is met? It's after, it tells you to build the house after you do it.
So that we-
not at the same time.
So that we have achar, the word
Ah,
after. So if it weren't for that word, then you'd be right. So we wouldn't know that there's a
So
order
I guess
here.
what's Akar latching onto? Is it latching onto building the house, or is it latching, so is it after you build your house, or is it after you prepare your work?
I think the only way to read it is that after you've done these first two, then you will or may build your house. I think that's the only way to read.
That's not so it seems.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah. Also, the lopsided way that the puzzle is divided is clearly he's trying to push everything into that sequence there. Yeah. David, before I forget, thank you for setting up.
Especially with the.
It wasn't me.
Oh, wasn't you?
No.
Who set up? Okay, I came in early because I thought no one was going to set up, but I'm whoever set up. Thank you. Yeah. Yes.
Is the, like, it seems specifically for yourself.
For yourself, correct. Yeah. What
so
emphasis on the
what is
self,
the
right?
emphasis on
Yeah,
self?
that's a good question here. And then, yeah, what is the emphasis on the self? Right, for yourself.
Do you not want to do this for others?
Right. Yeah. Is this to the exclusion of others? Yeah. Okay.
I feel like we're
Alright.
missing questions, but I don't know what.
No, I'll tell you why. And this is something that I've mentioned before, but I'll mention it again because I feel like I haven't talked about it in a while. The style of Mishlei changes drastically in chapter 25. This is Anshe Chizkiyahu, and the style in 10 through 24 is more enigmatic. There are some things that are straight up mashalim, or straight up like mashalim, or straight up like just proverbial proverbs, you know. But in 25 through 29, a lot of them are just very straight up, just like, simple statements, you know, like or straightforward advice. And like the trick there is to like get the chiddush out of it in a simple form. So this feels a lot more like the 25 style. It's just like telling you what to do. I mean, how many times also can you even think of Mishlei just telling you what to do? Like, it's not very common that it tells you what to do. That's the big thing that Meiri says, is that Mishlei usually tells you the benefits and then the consequences, or like half, or like the decision making and not the consequence, you know, but in like oblique terms, like not directly like just a command.
So in terms of like methodology and questioning, is there a difference between?
No, but I think it's addressing what you're saying is like, this feels sparser than the other types of psukim and less like a puzzle. And I think that's just that's the style difference. But we analyze it the same way. Okay, so what do we say?
I mean, I guess just to take it literally for a second.
Yeah,
I mean, you could differentiate between preparing outside your work, you know, and ready, and the field for your work is, it's like, you know, it's almost similar to like what Face Up was mentioning with like the, you know, like the grain and the house for the grain, and like, you know, like the infrastructure to be able to learn, you know. Do you remember that one that you brought up a year ago? by like learning and maintaining your learning by having the tools and the
Oh,
infrastructure around it.
That one?
Yeah, the
Well,
weed.
what's the
Yeah, with the
Mishlei?
weed. You
Oh,
don't
yeah.
remember that?
No, I don't remember.
All right, fine. So he was saying that like
Is this Sunday here?
no, this is like on a Shabbos.
Isn't it,
Isn't it Shabbos?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't remember.
So he was saying that like, you know, you need to have the infrastructure, you know, to be able to maintain your learning, and you need to be able to have, I don't know, like a couple other things that will help you prepare for like be in the right state of mind to learn.
Hold on a second. Just to be clear, that I'm clear on how to understand what you're saying. Are you interpreting this metaphorically, or are you using Pesach's metaphor to interpret the shot of this?
Yeah, I'm using the metaphor to
Okay. yeah, okay.
All right, so like to me, like there were steps. There are different steps within the preparation.
Okay.
The way
Right. Which is a good conservative
That's-
move here, because there's at least 2 steps here. Yeah.
So the question is like, what are the 2 steps? So
Right.
prepare after your work could mean before you even like gather. Let's start with the second step.
Yeah.
The second step in my mind is like you have all the tools and all the utensils and all the, I don't know, the wood or whatever you need, like gathered or in an organized way within the field, such that you'd be able to build a house.
Oh, okay.
immediately, right?
Okay, yeah.
The first step is, okay, I now have to build I now have to get an architect to help me determine what my house is going to look like,
Yeah.
such that I know what to gather so that I can build.
Okay.
It's the planning.
Yeah. Okay, so let me just make sure I understand. Again, so the goal here is to build the house. And this is addressing a guy who does not do the 2 preparatory steps in building the house. In other words, ready your work for the house building, then prepare the field for the house building, and then build the house. But there are people who attempt to build the house without doing these 2 preparatory steps. As opposed to, let's say, there's another way we can learn this, which is the way I was defaulting to it, is that the work in the field is one endeavor, and the work outside is one endeavor. The preparing the field might be another endeavor, it might be related to that, but then building the house is a separate project. According to this is like a one project interpretation, and these are all stages of that project.
Yeah, I mean, still the question is like, what's the fetish?
No, but I think this sets out 2 ways to go about learning, which I think is really good. There's another thing you said that made me think of another question, which is what is the consequence of ignoring this advice?
Well, have you ever bought something from IKEA and not followed the instructions?
Right. Yeah. Like that's a good example, actually. Right. Is like, let's say, like, I think this is probably standard for all things you assemble. What's the first thing you have to do after you unpack it? You have to make sure all the pieces are there. Right. That's why they have a list of the number of thingies. And if you don't do that and you're missing a piece, you could be like in a huge mess and like not know what's going on there. Right. Or let's say I feel like there are a lot of these building projects where they don't bother to actually make sure that the land that they're building on is really for the building, and then that ends up being like, either dangerous or like increasing the costs or like stuff like that. So
Yeah.
The
So
IKEA example was good.
Yeah.
because I've assembled a few pieces of IKEA furniture recently.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of times where I realized, because I like thought I understood, what the next steps were gonna be, and refer back to the manual.
yeah,
And then it was like I assembled something wrong.
you did assemble something,
Yeah.
but yeah,
in a way that was like very hard to undo.
right. What have I done? Yeah,
And then it was like I had to like figure out how to like how to like fix it, and it was like
yeah.
and then introduce problems.
Okay, so can we define? So I'm getting the sense here that this is really a mistake in a universal in terms of doing things that need preparation, and the havamina is that you can do the things without the preparation. So can we like get into the heart of this mistake? And I don't know if it's one mistake; it might be multiple mistakes here. But like, let's just like analyze what's the havamina that I'm going to build the house without doing this.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, David.
Just one thing also, I think as far as certain things, I do think there are certain things working processing. There are certain things that you can do, and if you mess up, it's okay and you can fix it somehow.
Yeah.
And there are certain things and probably things that require more preparation that you need to prepare for, and if you mess it up, you can't fix it. I
Yeah.
think there's also like some thought of like, oh, like I've messed things up before, I've done things up. Either I've done things without preparation, it's been fine,
Yeah.
or I've done things without preparation, it wasn't so fine, I was able to fix it.
Yeah.
And so even this thing that does need preparation, well, okay. Like,
Right.
if I messed
So
up,
that's interesting, because that's a level, right? And the level is that you're recognizing that there are these categories, which I mean, like, I'm not saying it's a level of perfection. I'm saying if you're consciously realizing that on some level, then like it's a different kind of mistake where you are miscategorizing this particular thing. But I think that there are things where the person does not even realize that this is a type of thing that could require preparation, and that's why they go into the last step. Yeah.
I would say with the government thing, the person isn't making this distinction. He's saying, oh, I've messed things up before and then fixed it. It was fine. So it's fine if I don't, like he's not drawing the distinction between things that are fine to make mistakes and then things that aren't.
But he okay, maybe I'm understanding David differently. I think you were saying like there are definitely things where like if like no one says that if you're doing a puzzle, right, then like, well, I only get one shot at doing this, and like if I don't do it, then I've ruined it, like so I think a lot of people think about problems, again, maybe consciously, maybe not consciously, but they're like, if I make a mistake, I can just do it again, but they don't realize the permanency of the mistake. I think that is a different level than saying, for example, there are people who think that they can just daven without learning the tefillos, like without like learning the in-depth understanding the tefillah, and then they get all upset when they don't have kavanah in davening. Well, what did you think would happen? Like, do you think that this is not chachma? Like what is your? I find that whenever like we do tefillah workshops, I find that at the heart of the mistake is someone thinks that tefillah is something other than what it actually is, and it's because of their misunderstanding of the nature of the activity that they're not getting stuff out of it, and they're not getting that stuff out of it because they don't do the preparation that activity demands, so like I think that is a different move. Maybe both of you were saying right.
No, I thought that you were I thought that you thought he was saying something different,
right?
I had a different thoughts about the
within the same approach,
thing. Another
we're calling this let me just label this so we can talk about the different ideas. This is the one project universal approach, meaning that we're talking about the house is the one project, and the house is just an example, a particular of a universal. Okay, there's not talking about house building. Yeah.
I think there's so I think there's another mistake that causes another mistaken thinking that causes the person to make the one project universal mistake, which is that basically a person would just feels confident that they know that they know what the results of the preparation are going to be, and then they can just skip to that.
Meaning, are you saying knowing what the results of the preparation as opposed to actually having the outcome, like?
Or knowing was one type of it. It's that they can just skip to whatever the result is going to be.
Right.
Like for like you don't need to spend time doing the work to, let's say, survey the land, because
it's gonna be okay.
It's gonna be okay,
right?
Then, or you don't need to spend time putting in the foundation specifically because it'll,
let me give you an example of this.
Yeah. I also have an example.
Okay. Oh, go ahead then.
Yeah. One time I got this marble run set.
Yeah.
Like you assemble by putting the pieces on top of it and one another.
Yeah.
And on the bottom there's this grid thing for you to put the foundation pieces on.
Yeah.
And they had a diagram of where you're supposed to put the first pieces on. And I put them in roughly the right spot. And then even after when I assembled it, the marble wouldn't go down exactly right because the legs were askew because they weren't in the right spot, and then it ruined the whole thing.
Right. An example I have of this is when preparing for teaching ninth graders in Shahavet. Okay, and the reason why is because other classes I already know the students, and so I know more or less who I'm going to be teaching, and I can plan accordingly. But I don't understand, there are teachers who prepare everything over the summer, without knowing who the kids are. But to me, successful teaching requires such knowledge of who the kids are, and you're going to approach things in a completely different way. I understand preparing the material in terms of knowing it, but expecting to go in and then just teach it without getting to know who I need at least several weeks to get a sense of who these kids are, to know what their needs are educationally and how to approach the thing. So I think that's nothing what is the mistake is assuming everything's going to be okay, or assuming a a primacy to the ability to translate your malacha, your design into action without realizing that the materials have their own qualities. The only one who could do that is God, because God creates the materials. But but we need to work with the materials that are given. Yeah, Ariel, and then fine.
So I don't know if this is exactly what Isaac's saying, but the way I see it is like, there are two possibilities for like this type of mistake. One is like he is just kind of like merging the concept of preparation within one. He's not differentiating, which is okay, fine.
You mean the first two?
Yeah, the first two.
Okay. Yeah, I still want a little bit of clear idea of what the two are. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other mistake is that look, the guy feels that he doesn't need to be detailed or organized with it because he thinks he can do everything he wants. Like he thinks he can do everything in the right way because he feels like he's in control of almost everything.
Right.
Like this is his house. He can do whatever he wants, and he's just gonna ignore the minor details because like he feels this is his or whatever.
Right. Yeah. There's definitely an illusion of
ego.
control and mastery. Yeah. It is a very egotistical mistake. Yeah.
Yeah,
and again, one thing is assuming that the materials are going to yield to your design. Another mistake is assuming that we're not even getting to what the design is here. Yeah, I had a couple of possibilities. Maybe we'll flesh out when we do the two.
And
yeah.
Just to answer the consequences, I mean, the consequences I think is pretty obvious in terms of
not going to be a good house.
What?
It's not going to be a good house.
Well, that's obvious.
Yeah,
that's for sure. It's not going to be a good house. And it's going to fall apart. But the other thing that we don't really take into consideration is the frustration that comes about.
Good point.
When things has hit the fan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's as the saying goes, when the things just hits the fan. Yeah.
If you built it right.
Yeah. No. So that's a good question. I think that's a great consequence because that's the really Mishlei media consequence. Is that the mistake stems from a very egotistical position, and the consequence is going to be a huge ego suffering of like this didn't go my way. And and you're not gonna have a house. Yeah, fine.
Yeah, so I have 2 points.
Yeah.
One on the Havamina and one on the difference between the two steps. So I think maybe a different Havamina is like something that we talked about before, but where the person sees the ends as important and the means is not important.
Right.
And therefore it's like, if my goal is the goal, then all these other things I need to do to get the goal are really just to get me there. But if I could do it right now, then I'll just do it right now. Yeah. So I feel like that. So that's like a habit, Yeah. And then I think the 2 steps he's telling you to do here could be, one is making the thing, having the means available, and then making the means of it accessible to yourself. Because it's one thing to like, oh, I have a field, and then another thing to say, well, what kind of field do I need, and like, does this work for me? But just because we found a plot of land to build a house on doesn't mean that now I can just put it anywhere. Again, like it could be that this is going to sink in 20 years. And this is not good. This is not a good land for me. Right.
Okay, I hear that. I also have an approach to answering Sean's question about outside of what, because I think that we need to answer it in those terms. Yeah, David.
A thought into then what is the outside and ready for yourself in the field for yourself. Then those can be actually not just preparation, it's not like learning about something and preparing through like some abstract, but particularly going outside, like getting your hands dirty in the area, and that being the necessary preparation. More than just like, okay, like you can go to teaching school, learn how to teach, but until you're actually teaching a classroom, totally different things. It's saying you actually need to do fully that, not just
that's good. Yeah, see, this is the type of answer that I want of like the categorical. Like in the house example, I understand, but I want there to be like 2 categorical things. So you're saying there's the theoretics and then the nitty gritties.
You want to be able to do something well. You got to.
Right. Mine was interpretation is similar, but just with a different emphasis. And they go together. Is that malacha is the form, is the skills. Stuff, and then the sadeh is the material that you're working with in terms of the, like the on-site location. You're focusing more on the experiential dimension of the knowledge. I'm focusing more on the you can be equipped. You need to be equipped in 2 ways. You need to be equipped with the plans and equipped with the plot. That was a not intentional double usage of a word. Yeah.
When we're ready, I have it.
Okay. We're ready. Okay. Yeah.
I have a different read also.
You have a different read also. Okay.
I also do have another.
Oh
one.
boy. Okay. All right. So let's
It's actually using this.
I'm gonna actually finally do this. Better 3 years late than never. I don't know why I only do this in the Monday Night Mishlei shiur of doing one sentence summaries. Yeah, it's so dumb of me. Yeah, no, I mean the one regret I have from all the Mishlei shiurim I've given is I have not come up with a system. Only in Monday Night Mishlei do I have a system of preserving the ideas we come up with, which is I write down one sentence summaries as we go. I just haven't done that here, and so now I can't go and easily find the ideas. Okay, so I'm going to call this Ariel's one project universal mistake approach, and the purpose of these notes is just to have them accessible, not to make a full thingy. So this is about the mistake of thinking you can just build the house without going through the proper preparations. Okay, and there are lots of possibilities as to what the nature of this mistake is. I'm just going to leave this here. Okay, let's go with how many people have different approaches?
Ezra was first.
A lot. Okay, let's go Ezra first. Yeah.
So I was thinking not as the house being the project, the house being what the goal is for your work. Like you want to work so that you can come back home to like a house.
Okay, right.
And for that reason, you want to first prepare like your base and then kind of like work on like whatever you're gonna work on. But before you actually have somewhere to like come home to, like a comfort or like a post-work thing. Yeah. To actually work on your actual skill. Right. Which will be sharpened by being outside during the day and actually practicing the skill rather than like working, like thinking on like the comfort that comes after.
Okay, right. So is this mistake then the type of person who wants to partake of the goal while they're still in the process that is necessary to get to there?
Or before the process and like
right.
Have in mind the entire time.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So extra. Okay, so so house equals the ultimate goal. People want to skip to that step before they've set up the means of getting there. And then the practical advice is how do you couch it again?
So first of all, don't like have a specific like place where you're gonna work on your house.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I mean like also like ready in the field is like go out and like explore different locations and hone your, like the first part is like hone your craft. The second part is like diversify kind of, and then only then can you like actually focus on like where to settle and like how big of a house to build.
Okay, so this is telling you that the means or the preparation will actually help you to will help inform the type of house that you're building, right? Yeah, that's where people make this mistake a lot is in careers, right? Yeah. Is that they, at the outset of their career, they have a specific image or idea of what they want to be doing or what success looks like. And then that closes them off to like, other possibilities, even other jobs that actually might make them happier, and then they just cling to that ultimate, that ultimate image, and then that could be really, really bad. It's bad because you're going to actually be blinding yourself to seeing other possibilities.
Yeah. Like the first question that people they ask themselves, the job is like, what job is going to be am I going to find the most fulfilling, or what job is going to make me the most money? Right. Whereas the first question really should be, what is the purpose of the job?
Right. But what I'm saying though, and I think what you're saying is that being open to the purpose of the job changing based on your involvement in the preparations. Yeah. That's a big thing, Yeah. Okay. Who hasn't said an idea yet? Yeah. Yaakov.
Different read, where the first set is talking about different endeavor than the second half.
Okay, yeah, 2-project read, yeah.
And it's the first set we talking about obtaining like a stream of income for yourself.
Yeah.
And the second half literally a building house.
Yeah.
And it's saying that, I mean, there are two different things. In theoretically, you could build a house first.
Right. You can go into debt. Yeah, right.
Right. So I think if you're talking to someone, exactly what talking modern terms, building a house or keeping it has a lot of expenses like mortgage and property taxes. So you're going to need fixed income to be able to handle that, or you're going on to that.
Right.
And so this could be talking about someone who builds a house first and just assumes, okay, so when I need the money next month, I'll get it next month.
Right.
Like there are always opportunities out there, like ways to gain money, and when I need the extra money, I'll get the extra money.
Right.
I don't need to have it prepared now.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So make sure that you have a fixed stream of income before you involve yourself in something that will require such income. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I feel like we can extend this to, could we just talk outside of the house and give another example just so we can like get the idea clear? Yeah.
Like don't buy like a car that you expect, because like, let's say you have even like you close a deal, whatever. Yeah. Now you went out and expect that money in like a car. Right. And now like you don't close any more deals for the next 3 years.
Okay. Right. Yeah. So that's definitely good. I want to give an example of a completely different type that is not just like a thing and incurring expenses. Yeah.
So I think that the Gemara, I think there's a Gemara that they say a chacham, I think like basically gets a job first.
Yeah, we're gonna go to the Rambam. I was hoping someone would quote the Rambam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then builds a house, then gets married. Yeah. And I think a fool gets married and then builds a house and then gets a job. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so my thinking was that this is about work-house balance. Yeah. Like I think a house is like a goal that a person wants. Yeah. And working in the field is unnecessary, is like just like a necessary evil. Like no one's like, oh, I wish I could be working in the field. But people want to have a nice house. Yeah. And so I think there's a temptation that if you can like go for a house, then you will, even if it's not the right move strategically. Right. And so saying it's counseling you to prepare your work first and do that, do that, like have that set up, and then you can go. Okay, yeah, I'm of two minds as to whether that is along the same lines or if that's a different idea. I think it's along the same. Okay, and then the third thing, or the other thing I'm in doubt about is whether this Rambam I'm saying is saying that or not. We'll check out the Rambam in a second. I just want to give one example of I think another thing that people often do is that that there are like young couples who immediately jump into having a kid before they have necessarily like worked out things in their relationship or gotten their job or like figured out like what they're, and like, I'm not saying that that's always a bad decision, but I'm saying that I think that there does need to be a certain stability. I think what you're describing, just to broaden your category a little bit, is not just the expenses, but the stability of the situation that allows you to maintain something else that's stable, and I think like people will jump into that without having the stability first, yeah. Yeah. I have another example of that. Yeah. Let's say let's say you want to do something that's like a more like riskier out there thing. Let's say you want to like start a new project or something like that. If you get a new job and then immediately start trying to do that, then you don't have the stability of like having established yourself at that job first. Right. And then that makes the whole like everything much more risky, Yeah.
Let me just find this Rambam. Do you know if it's in the first parak? Yes, it is 5. Olam yilmad adam Torah ve'achkach yisa isha. Sh'im nasa isha b'tchila ein daitu pnuya lilmon. That's a pun. Okay. Yeah. I don't. It's funny. You don't get the sense that the Rambam has a sense of humor. So if Ibn Ezra wrote this, I'd be like, oh, he's doing that just to make us laugh. But if it's the Rambam, then like, does he even notice that he made a joke? Yeah. All right. So first person should the joke is that Panuya also means like an unmarried girl. So like, yeah, okay. So the first person should always learn Torah and then marry a woman, because if he marries a woman first, his mind will not be free to learn. Okay. If his yitzer, in terms of having a wife, is overpowering him to the point where his mind is not free, Yisa Ishav Akhlaq Gilma Torah. Yes, this is a different Rambam than the one I was thinking of. There's Rambam brings down what you're saying also. Yeah. Yisa Ishav Akhlaq Gilma. Then he should get married and then learn Torah. But is this an example? I think, is this an example? Yeah, this is an example, right? Because in other words, this guy thinks that he can have both worlds right now, right? Is like he can get married and be fully involved in learning, right? And in many cases, you can't. Like you have this time, the investment of time and energy in maintaining a household and in maintaining that sort of relationship, and having kids, whatever. You're not gonna be able to do that and maximize learning. So you have to take care of one before the other. And it's a different kind of investment, because you're investing in building up all of your skills and learning while you still have the ability to devote all your energy to it. And then once you get married, you're not going to be able to have that same amount of time and energy in all likelihood. Yeah. We can maybe find that wrong for tomorrow. I'm not looking for it now. Yeah, Sean. Another approach. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking in terms of being creative, there's two mistakes that are part of one process that a person does.
Yeah.
So the first is that they are trying to be creative within a set framework. So they've built their house already, and they're trying to be creative within the limited space of their house. Okay. So instead, you should be outside where you're unrestricted. You can go anywhere. And then the second mistake that a person does is, even though they can go anywhere, they haven't built their house, they don't explore and get all the facts, right? So the being ready to feel for yourself is making sure that you explore everywhere that you can, so that then you can have both the freedom of thought and the ability to look through all the facts before then building the house and then having the thing that you're working in and being creative.
So I agree with the second one. Say the first one more time, because
first one is where a person already has like a set framework, and then they're trying to be creative within that set framework.
Okay.
So that's where you already have your house, and then he's, instead of working outside, he's working in his house. And if you're working in your house, the maximum size of the thing that you're going to be creating is going to be the size.
I think you have to do that, though. I think you have to start off with a framework.
So that Hachos with Sal with Moshe.
Yes, exactly what you're thinking now. But before we go to some other thing, meaning like I think anyone who is starting a new like trying to train in creativity is going to need to start with a framework.
There's some rules.
Yeah, framework
might not be the best.
Yeah, that's why I'm not sure if I get the.
But let's say somebody has like, oh, it's this kind of svara.
Yeah.
So then they're not going to explore any of the other svaras.
Right.
So if you're just working within it, it has to somehow fall this way.
Yeah.
So then you're confined to the structure that you're within.
Right. That's why, like, the way you're expressing your second idea, I'm on board with, and that let me just try saying that second idea in my own words here, is that in creative endeavors, and the house here is a model for the creative product, right? Or not?
Maybe.
I thought that's what you were saying.
Say it like that.
Okay, so then it's very similar to what you were saying.
Yeah.
In that like, just a different application is that that there needs to be a certain amount of like of surveying like all the different possibilities and all the fields and a certain field, like there's stuff that you do before you settle on the final product, and if you don't do that, then you're going to be limited by a certain preconceived notion of the final product. Yeah.
So if you already have a house in mind, so then you're not working outside, you're working in that house.
Yeah.
Right. So then your house can't be any type of house. It can only be that type of house.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first part,
okay.
Preparing it outside. The second part is then seeing all the different, not even just what the house is going to look like, but all the different locations where the house can be built. So those are two different dimensions of exploration. One is the thing that you're building, and the other is where you're building it.
Okay. I'm gonna write this in intentionally vague terms, because we're still in Hebrew. Just because I feel like there's more here that I want to leave open for development tomorrow. I don't want to build a house now, so to speak. Right? Is application to creative endeavors and a warning not to prematurely confine yourself within a house. And I'm going to say whatever that means, because I think I want to elaborate. Okay, let's get out all the other things on the table, and then we'll have to develop more.
I have a part two of my
okay,
thing, which is Derek Nister. It's kind
of Derek Nister. Okay, yeah. I mean, we've kind of been dancing around the Derek Nister anyway.
It's using that. It's using that specific approach within the Derek Nigel. Now I'm going to translate to Derek Nister, and I think I'm going to start with the goal. The goal is, building a house. Building your house is building your house of, of what the purpose of the house is, which is like you want to build a house of, I don't know, for some people it could be able to buy standalone Israel or whatever,
I knew someone was going to say that at some point in this.
With Torah values or whatever house that's, I'm not going to limit it to Torah. I'm going to be specific to that, what individual wants to, what his goals and purposes of wanting the house for, just raising kids, whatever, blah, blah, whatever. Okay. So now the question is, what does it mean preparing outside your work within this approach? Meaning preparing outside your work, means that the work is basically now, doing the activities necessary for that, like physical work. But then there's really preparing outside, meaning internally. Okay, what for me, for myself, what do I need in order to build this house? What's compatible with me? So like you're doing that internal reflection and thinking about it. And now that you have that in mind, now you're able to, I don't know, whether you need girls with a good personality that's in sync with you, whether she has Torah values or whatever. So now you use what you have and you apply it to, within the field and searching for that.
Okay, so you're saying that you have to take into account your own needs.
Yeah, your own needs. You have to be true to yourself and true to your nature, and not just, all right, I just see one random girl and I just like how she looks or whatever it is, and you just go for it. And because that may not necessarily be like a sustainable house, because she may have different values.
Okay. Yeah, I see that. For some reason, I'm not seeing it entirely in the words, but I see the idea. And I like the idea of applying it to the house of the self, whatever that is. Yeah, Isaac?
I have a darkness there.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's
by the way, just one second. This is with this style of Mishlei, that's the pitfall, is that because it's said in a very straightforward way, it lends itself to so many more like approaches. And whereas if you have a pasuk that's a puzzle and stated in a weird way, it's much harder to project an idea onto that is not actually coming from the word, Yeah, it's a pitfall. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think the moment you describe this process is jumping to an idea without being methodical or without employing methodology. And the malacha is described as you first need to do the malacha of taking time to learn common or into grow your skills and to get like fundamentals before attempting to like strike out on your own and trying to throw out your own ideas. So you saying to do that preparatory malacha before you start building your own house of.
Yeah. So this is okay. You said this is the same methodology, and and maybe it's not. I don't know, because my objection to that is I feel like if it said something like learn from the house of your father before you build your own house or whatever, I would be more open to that. But prepare your malacha in the field outside and then build your I feel like I don't know. I feel like I agree with your idea, but something about it.
You're saying the malacha in the field doesn't sound like the same thing as what the house is.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
The nouns are different.
Yeah. One thing I just want to point out in terms of the the way that Sean expressed the question of outside of what. So what's the most conservative answer you can give to that, just based on the words in the pasuk? Outside of the field, right? So in other words, the pasuk is dividing up to two regions: in the field and outside of the field. So I don't think we sufficiently explore the possibilities of what that is. I think that's also why, David, I guess, and the way that I was doing it, I think touch on that, which is there's malacha that you prepare either through the skills or internally or getting your tools ready or whatever, and then there's going into the field and doing it. like there's those two clean categories, well, the field is dirty.
Why would you say it's outside the house?
What was that? Because the house doesn't exist yet.
But that's what the pasuk is telling you, meaning that you would think that you would have the house first. So then it's telling you,
right? But don't the instructions then don't make sense?
This guy's presumably living somewhere, right?
Right.
I thought the pasuk was saying like before you build your own house.
Yeah. Yeah, you could say that also. Yeah.
How does that not take into consideration within my framework also? Because I thought I was.
It might. Yeah. I was just pointing out in terms of what I thought was a clean category, but yeah, I hear the house reading also. Okay, let's stop for today, and let's just read David and not analyze them. Okay, just so we can get something there. David says, "Hachim betchila hachim lachtecha b'chutz v'him melechas sadei v'cherem." That's the malacha of field and vineyard. Ba'atada, and ready it. Hazmin lacha basade de machsorecha. Provide for yourself in the field what you need. Achar zeh b'nei besach l'sheves bo. Build your house to dwell in it. Im lo tachin de machsorecha. If you don't prepare your needs, lo you tuchal sheves bais. You will not be able to settle in a house. Ki tihye noded l'lechem, because you'll be wandering for bread. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of things. It sounds like a lot of approaches. All right, so let's just sit on that and then come back to it. Okay. Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else associated to the memes?
Thanks.